Look at the description for a quick disclaimer. Well, season 6 of the U.S. Mole. That was an entertaining season, I have to admit. I binge watched it all in one day. I had a lot of fun with it, although it does have the same dislike that I had with seasons 5 and 6 of the Australian Mole, in that it didn't really feel like a season of the Mole. It just felt like another reality show that just happened to be titled The Mole. But of those 3 seasons that I am putting into this category here, this one, without question, was the closest to that original feel of the show, because just the mole's presence kind of felt a little more highlighted than before. And also, Alex, she did a pretty good job as a host in my mind. The way that she was sort of playing with the contestants humorously as she was laying out the terms for various missions, going, it just added another layer to it, having the people constantly be on their toes, unlike, Celebrity Mole, where they're arguing backward and forward in Season 5 of this version. Well, again, they were arguing, although that was dumb luck versus anything else, and even then, Seasons 3 and 4, the Australian version, they argued too, although once you watch Season 4, Season 3 will seem like nothing, let me tell you, come on, right. But yeah, I do miss that dated feel that original seasons of Australian Mole and original seasons of this show and the UK show, if they ever do make another season. Oh, no, they aren't bringing this back. They're trying to bring back UK Survivor back, my bad. Yeah, it's ridiculous trying to keep track of all these versions of different reality shows, even when you have them downloaded, right? But yeah, this wasn't as far of a jump as I think for Mole Australia Seasons 5 and 6. And I also like how in this season, when contestants were intentionally doing things bad in assignments to draw suspicion on them, it actually didn't feel as bad as Mole Australia Season 6, because there, everyone's primary goals seem to be win assignments, win assignments, win assignments. Who cares about the mole? We'll try and figure that out later. Whereas for this show, on the other hand, it was mole, 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 in my mind. The fact that there was a lot less to be won in this season, I think, helped too, because sure, they got $100,000, and that's quite a decent sum. There's all kinds of reality shows out there where that's the standard sum of prize money, but when you realize that the lowest cash prize that we had before this was like, I don't know, $283,000 in Celebrity Mole Hawaii, when they could have won about 470, And I think that once you add up the total amount of money that they could have won in this season, it would have been less than Celebrity Mole Hawaii. I mean, it is Netflix, so it's totally understandable that they want to be a little cheaper, but that does stand out. Right. But it really wasn't as bad, even when the contestants were making multiple mistakes over and over again. Jacob, Avery, Joy, heck, even some of the good guys, bringing up some of their points over and over again. Yeah. It was slightly annoying, but then this group was able to get over it. Kind of like how in various seasons of Survivor, where even though there are people that do argue a good amount during the season, by the time it actually ends and the reunion happens, everyone's like, yeah, we're not going to be lifelong friends, but you know, it was a game. All is forgiven, let's just move on. Right. That's what happened in Survivor Palau. That's mostly what happened in Vanuatu, Guatemala. A good amount of HVV and Winners at War happened that way, yeah. I can come up with examples, sure. But, there was one thing that was kind of odd about this season, and that, they were really trying to make us, I think, believe that Jacob was the mole. And I didn't totally want to believe that because a lot of people say that this show is a show that you constantly have to be thinking about while you're watching it. But after I watched a few seasons of the Australian version, even though I hadn't vocalized the FUD, I had realized you don't actually have to be thinking. Just sit back and enjoy the darn show. Don't think about who the mole is until you either get a really strong suspicion, which is going to be accidentally, or number two, there's only a couple of episodes left. Because, yeah, I don't try to figure out who the mole is until there's only 1 or 2 episodes left. The only times I don't do that are when I get a strong feeling as to who the mole is, and the only times that has happened, Mole Australia 4 and US Season 5, well, they weren't really trying to keep it a secret as to who the mole was. Because like that hidden clue in the Mole US Season 5 during the Prison Break episode, I picked on that without any help. It was just like, really? You're making it that obvious? Come on! Even though the edit had already made it obvious to be who the mole was in that season? Right. But, yeah, I didn't really want to believe it because I'm like, I've never seen a season of The Mole where the edit clearly wants you big time to think that somebody is the mole. Well, good thing I didn't. Alright. So, let's just fast forward to the end there. Will not being the mole, honestly, that was kind of obvious. I mean, like, I did have a tiny bit of doubt, but how hard he worked at trying to win all that, there comes a point where you just cannot fake that. Now, of course, Joy did guess that Will was the mole, but we're not there. We don't get to see them talk during everything, and get this. With the quizzes this season, did you notice how a lot of them actually questions didn't really have anything to do with the actual challenges? Most of them were just personality questions. Is the mole married? Is the mole an only child? What color is the mole's eyes? Huh? Now, granted, we have had questions that don't relate to the challenges before, but usually it's just these 2 questions. Is the mole male or female? And during dinner, did the mole sit to the right or the left of the host? That's it. And they use those questions over and over and over again. But yeah, that would have definitely thrown me for a loop, because, you know, that encourages people to talk to each other, double bluff, and just, yeah. This group was definitely a very interesting group. So, a slightly different version of the mole, but they did good with that. Okay, yeah, but getting back to Will, I had figured out that he wasn't the mole. The girls, I did guess that Kazi was the mole, but it was only because, as the flashbacks had shown, Kazi made a bunch of simple yet very obvious mistakes, and even though they didn't show this, you remember during the jailbreak mission, which is I think the first time that I've seen that challenge not actually be completed, as she is putting the key to get out of her shackles back, she actually looked directly into the camera and smiled. And I picked that up the first time I saw it. I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you smiling to the camera? Because odds are that camera is not a big camera. So yeah, I did get her, but that was just dumb luck. I had a 1 in 2 shot. So this does mean that I have, for the third time in English-speaking mole saga, that I got it exactly right, but it wasn't really that much of a guess, because Will not being the mole was obvious, going for Kazi over Joy was more dumb luck, and Alex made it very obvious that everyone had guessed a different person. So if Kazi is the mole, then by default, Will had to win. So I did get it, but this was just pure luck. It's not that much of an accomplishment, in my mind. But it was a nice season, and hopefully it does get out there for fans of the Mole to enjoy. Do I think there's going to be another season? No. Not at all. Why? Well, like I said in my review for the 6th season of the Australian version, the Mole simply just does not have a big enough fan base to justify them to keep doing this show over and over again, even if it's a cheaper version like this was. I genuinely do not think that this got the viewing figures to justify it being renewed. It gets a lot of reviews from the people that did watch it. How many people are going to watch it? Not that many. And it has nothing to do with reality TV. There's a whole bunch of other reasons entirely. Right. Okay, that took a little longer than I intended it to be, but there you go, people. See ya.